friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm reading today for Leo energy, and Leo, you're gonna have one of those readings. I can just feel it now. I'm already crying. So Leos, lovely Leos, how are you doing? How was your Christmas? Did you have a good New Year's? I'm reading for the early part of 2024. There's some things in your reading that I'm not quite understanding. Hopefully it'll kind of reveal itself as I get into it. I started out with getting the urge to light some candles. I ended up lighting three wicks. I've got kind of like two candles. One of them has two wicks, so like basically lighting all the candles. I don't know if lighting candles is something for you, especially if maybe you are grieving a little bit. I'm going to talk about one of the songs that have come through. This is the one that's kind of made me cry a little bit. But there's not actually a lot to do with grief in the actual reading. It's kind of maybe a separate thing. Maybe it's like backstory. I don't know. Maybe this is, we carry it with us for a long time. It's not something like, even if it's not something that's immediately happening here and now, we remember the people we've loved and lost, right? So yeah, I'm going to say there's nothing immediately to worry about. I do feel a sense of kind of like people around you. My dad was a Leo. As soon as I went into meditation, I kind of felt my dad next to me. So there could be something about that, like parents looking over your shoulder from the other side, something like that coming through for you. Take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Obviously, I don't want to I've lost a lot of people this last few years, so I don't want to prey on anyone's vulnerabilities. I'm not that sort of reader. Let's kind of get into what I was getting for you. So the first thing I'll mention is it was 12:43 when I started the reading, which is funny because I was talking to Cancer about how I looked at the timestamp and it was kind of like 12:03, which the sequence of numbers kind of tells me something in a reading. So if I see, for example, 1 2 3 4, that's kind of like steady progress forward, like one step in front of the other. So 1203 kind of told me that there was some kind of like blockage, or they needed to stop and wait and be patient before they could carry on with that zero kind of showing me that. And so your numbers 1243, I thought it was funny to see it because I'd mentioned it in Cancer's reading, but this tells me that it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back. I can see my breath. Now, I don't think it's that cold. It is cold today, but I think it's like 3 degrees here. So I shouldn't be seeing my own breath. And I wasn't seeing it in Cancer's reading, but I'm seeing it now. It's kind of like, it's funny because I was talking about the Dementors to a Leo this morning. I've been sick, and so had this Leo. I don't know anyone else who's had this specific bug except for this one person. And I said to them, it's like full body like chills. It was almost like, and I said it was like there was a dementor close by. It was like my whole body was cold. So yeah, I think I may have had a bit of a fever, but when you've got a fever and you feel so cold, and yeah, it's just these waves of absolute full body frozen feeling when I was poorly. So I was saying it was like a dementor was close. But just that made me think of it as well, like, because they kind of breathe and kind of like they can see the breath and stuff. So I'm not saying there's dementors close to you or anything like that. That's not in the reading. I just thought it was funny because I mentioned it this morning to a Leo, so I thought I'd mention it. But yeah, so 1 2 4 3 it's kind of like steps forward and then steps back, like making some progress and then having to kind of like retrace your steps before you can go forward. So it could be something like that for you, where it's kind of like there's a bit of to and fro in the progress that you're trying to make at this time, but you are going in the right direction, I want to say. So don't worry if there's like any like little hiccups, or you do have to kind of retrace your steps a little bit. Don't worry too much about that. You're going in the right direction. One of the songs that came through for you, it's kind of like the song that was playing when I first started setting up to do your reading, was Cool. Funny enough, when I'm talking about it being cold, I've only just put 2 and 2 together, by Alesso and Ray English. Now, the interesting thing is they mentioned California, and one of the creators' names is English. I can see my breath. It's really weird. One of the creators' names is English. So there could be something about England and California. Maybe somebody travels between these two places. But I'm noting it because it was something I was thinking about earlier this morning, and it didn't feel like it was for Cancer's reading, and then it's come out for you. So it's definitely kind of a message that was coming through earlier this morning for you. There could be somebody with very broad shoulders, or somebody could have very tense shoulders, like a tense neck, tense shoulders. Maybe someone's been doing a shoulder workout, or maybe it's just that somebody has very broad shoulders. Now, this could be literal. We could be talking about a big shouldered person, somebody who is, maybe either they're very, very buff, right? Or maybe they've just got, this is a nice part of the body on them. So even like, so say this was somebody who's more feminine, not necessarily muscular, but, they could have very nice shoulders, maybe a nice clavicle, that sort of thing. But there's definitely something coming through about somebody's shoulders, like upper chest area, kind of the back of the neck. That coming through. So like I say, it could just be that there's a lot of tension in this area for you at the moment. There could be something about like a fire or there's definitely something about fire for you. 100%. There's definitely something about fire. Now, you are a fire sign, so not super surprised about that. But you've, like I say, I lit all the candles that I had to light. And then your reading actually ends with a card that says ignition and fire. And in meditation, I also had this feeling of kind of being around a campfire. The interesting thing with that was I've come from Cancer's reading, and in their meditation, it was very icy and very, very cold. I felt like I was trying to climb a big icy mountain, and kind of, like the biting wind was kind of pushing me back, and it was really tough terrain, and it was very, very cold environment. So I feel like I'm coming into the warmth for you a little bit, or I'm trying to warm myself up with like fire. So whether this is like I say, like a campfire, or like an open fireplace, or a log fire, or something like that. Interestingly as well, you've got a lot of my own cards came out for you, including ice and the sun. So again, this hot and cold energy coming through there. Maybe there is somebody who's kind of blowing a bit hot and cold for you. It's kind of like, you're hot and you're cold, you're yes and you're no, you're in and you're out, you're up and you're down. I'm going to make a note of that song for you. Hot, cold, Katy Perry. So you're not sure where you stand with somebody. Going back to the campfire and fireplace, I had this feeling of like telling stories around a fire. So it could be like going camping and telling ghost stories or something around a campfire. It could be like maybe this is a thing that happened at Christmas, where maybe you went to like a family home, they have a nice big log fire, and your family sat around telling stories. There is this feeling of like family and nostalgia with this Six of Cups coming through. Six of Cups can talk about children. It kind of can carry a meaning of kind of like soulmate energy as well, but it does carry a meaning of kind of nostalgia. And the elephants talk to me about families. So yeah, it's coming through for me today as like nostalgia families, gathering round. Hierophant there as well. There could be something very traditional. Again, it could just be, this thing you traditionally do at Christmas. And again, it kind of has the feeling of like everybody listening to this one who's telling a story. So yeah, take that if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. There's something, again, especially if you're telling ghost stories, or there's a bit of a creepy vibe. There could be something where you're hearing creaks, or like snapping sounds, or even like the house creaking. If it is cold and you've had the heating on, and then you turn the heating off and you're in an old house, it's kind of like the wood creaks, and the radiators make funny noises and things like this. So you could be hearing odd creaks and things like this. Maybe you're like, is my house haunted? But I feel like it's that feeling of like, when you've been telling ghost stories and you hear a twig snap and you're like, it feels a little bit like that. This could be something that comes up for you. Again, it could be something that comes up for you in the first few months. It doesn't feel scary so much as it does funny, but I don't know. You'll know what it is for you. There's also something as well with that kind of the feeling of like a twig snapping, or someone stepping on something and hearing it break. Cancer had, again, it feels like you and Cancer are kind of close in this little meditation. So Cancer had this thing where they were kind of, it was like they were trying to track something through this snowy forest. And so it's like, I remember mentioning it's kind of like looking for footprints, or looking for, like broken twigs where, the twig's been snapped by the person or the animal that's been going through. So it's kind of like that kind of detecting or tracking energy. So again, you feel like you're hearing this footstep, this twig breaking. There could be something as well about popping plastic. So, you know, like packaging, you get the kind of plastic with the poppers. So it could be like you're going like popping the plastic. And there could also be something about alliteration, because I wrote popping plastic I can't even say it. Popping packing plastic. So and they all start with P, which is alliteration. So there could be something about alliteration, like you know, a lot of letters, a lot of words starting with the same letter. I was hearing keep your head up or keep your chin up. This also kind of came through with a message that happened in real life, a very similar vibe. So there could be somebody around you who's saying keep your head up, keep your chin up. Whether it's keep your chin up in terms of you know, stay positive, keep on trucking, that kind of thing, or if it's something where it's like keep your head up, hold your head high, like be proud. There could be something that you feel a little bit, it could be like an ugly duckling type thing, where there could be something where you feel a bit embarrassed about something. It could be some kind of physical feature. But if it's something ancestral, definitely kind of own it, I want to say. You know, for example, if you've inherited a particular beauty mark and it's very prominent on your face, it's unique and it's a symbol of your heritage. So, you know, wear it proud. I'm going to talk about something else in a second with that. No, I'll tell you about it now. So, you're getting a couple of Disney movies. It's like they're using two specific Disney movies to explain your situation, is the way it feels. So the first one that came through was Lion King, with the song. Now, of course, Lion King came through, right? Because you're the lion. But I was hearing that song. I just can't wait to be king. And in my mind's eye, I was seeing this TikTok that I'd seen with this young girl, and she'd been singing along to this, you know, miming, lip syncing to I Just Can't Wait to Be King. And she had very vibrant curly red hair, and she was kind of brushing it out from you know, kind of the tightly coiled kind of like perfected curls, and she was brushing it out to make her hair really kind of like big and bushy, and yeah, it was like a lion's mane, and she's like roaring at the camera and things like that. So it was a really cute video. It's not somebody that I follow, it's just one of those videos that kind of popped up. Now, the funny thing to me is maybe you do have red hair, because that's kind of what I was seeing. Out of the first 5 cards, 6 cards, you could say, there's definitely 4 cards where I feel like the woman has red hair. Maybe this 5th card has red hair. So a lot of characters in the early cards with red hair. So you could have red hair, you could look a bit like a lion, could be typical Leo energy, or there could be something about red hair. Yeah, I just can't wait to be king. And I'm working on my raw. So this was coming through with a bit of a message of I'm just thinking about how I explain this. So in my meditation, I don't want to talk too much about this because I've talked about it in every single reading. So the theme of this set of readings, there is a little bit of fantasy. It is a little bit like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, where you know, there's all these different realms. So I really want to have this kind of storytelling, role-playing energy to this set of readings, and use this as a tool in my storytelling of explaining how the tarot works, and what I'm seeing and things like that. So what I was seeing in meditation for you, I was kind of transported to this different place. So the meditation started in a very similar place to Cancer, where I was kind of in a very kind of evergreen forest. So there was a lot of kind of what they call spruce trees and pine trees and things like this, like a typical camping environment. You know, if you were going to watch a movie and there was going to be camping in it, it'd probably be in that North American kind of woodland where you have to worry about bears and things like that, and you'd be around the campfire. And I was very quickly transported to something that looks a little bit more like this, actually. So one of my little realms that I've been working on has a little bit, I wanted it to be set in a desert, but I didn't want it to be any specific one place. So when I first started to, it's how much do I explain, right, without being boring and repeating myself too much. So I've been creating my own kind of tarot decks, like my own oracle deck based on these cards that I'm using here today. And it kind of extended and morphed into another thing where I've been doing D&D, and my eldest child's really into it. So um we've started playing it kind of as a family, as a household, and I've started to create these different places because I think, well, if I was going to lead, if I was going to be the DM, right, I would have to have this place mapped out in my mind so that depending on where the story leads, I've got all these different places prepared to go to. So we ended up creating this kind of place. And I knew I wanted it to feel a bit like North Africa. I knew I wanted it to be a desert, but I didn't want it to be stereotypical of any one specific country. I wanted it to be a fantasy place that just kind of drew inspiration from, but was not representative of any one culture. And so the problem that I had every time I tried to kind of use AI to generate an image of this place, it would default to a very, very Egyptian looking place. It kind of looked like, that film, The Mummy. And I wasn't looking for specifically Egypt. So in the end, after jumping through a few different hoops, I figured out a way of creating something that looked much more unique. So I was telling it, for example, I wanted the clothing style and the building style to look kind of Etruscan, but I wanted to have it feeling like it was. I know Etruscan is kind of like Italy, but again, like if I was kind of using Africa, it would look too. It would either look Egyptian or kind of too. It just didn't look, it just wasn't the look I was going for. So if I told it Etruscan, it generated images that looked quite right. Again, if I used something like Persian, it just felt a bit too stereotypical. So like using a lot of different techniques, like telling it it's in a desert, it's in a temple in the desert, but it looks Etruscan, I was able to create something that looked quite unique. And so, yeah, and it kind of looks a little bit like similar, like Moroccan, right? It was on this little kind of desert, and so I wanted it to have like rocks, and there was some temples that were kind of like built into the rock and things like this. I'm explaining it too much. But what I was thinking about in the meditation was I decided to make the kind of king and queen, the rulers of this specific place, quite young. And I was kind of thinking to myself this kind of backstory of the reason why the king and the queen are young is because something happened and they lost the land, and they had to, not them specifically, the king and queen, they weren't the king and queen at the time, like in the past, the people who lived in this place, they kind of were invaded, and they were kind of driven out of the land. They lost their inherited heritage land, and then they had to kind of fight to get it back. And so when people go to war, sometimes you do lose the older leaders, so the new leaders were younger. And I was thinking to myself, how funny, because this is so similar to the story of the Lion King, right? Where Simba is, his dad is. Let's not talk about it. He's too. I'm still traumatized. But he's driven out of his ancestral land, right? The land that he kind of rightly was, everything you touch will be yours one day. I can't wait to be king, and all this kind of stuff. And he's driven out. And he does take it back, right? He does seize it back from Scar, who's this kind of negative leader. And so I thought, how interesting the parallel between those two stories. So there could definitely be something in this for you, Leo, especially because the first two cards that I saw, because I kind of I shuffle my decks and the cards come out and I put them all together, and this gives me my story. But the first two cards that I saw were the underlying, so the cards that didn't come out but that were on the bottom of the deck. The first one being freedom with this eagle spirit, but the second, well, actually this was the second one. The first one was resistance. So it does resistance and freedom. It does have this kind of uprising, or uh, you know, historically speaking, I'm not talking about any one specific place, by the way, but historically speaking, sometimes when there is oppression or there is a tyrannical leader, for example, Scar, the values of, people who lead the resistance or people who fight for freedom are, these themes come up. So it was funny to me because it really felt in line with what I was seeing kind of in the vision and in the meditation I had for you. Interestingly enough as well, underneath that was Drifter, experiencing life when it comes. Sorry, too many cards. It's funny because the first few decks that I shuffled, hardly any cards came out. And it felt very similar to Cancer's reading, where Cancer only actually had five cards on the table that came out, and I'm very honest in my readings. Like, what I get is what I show, unless it just does not make any sense to me at all, or it feels like a message that I can't share, for maybe it's too sensitive or something like that. But 99% of the time, what comes out is what I show you guys. So, I thought, oh no, is this going to be like Cancer's reading where it just does not give me anything? Like, there's no cards. And no, after the first few decks, too many cards were coming out, like so many cards were coming out. So it could be one of those situations where it takes somebody a bit of time to open up, but when they start talking, they don't shut up. Something like that. But yeah, the card that was underneath, sorry, coming back to this, was Drifter, experiencing life as it comes. So it made me think of when Simba does get kicked out of his, I can't remember specifically actually the storyline of The Lion King, but I think Scar tells him something and he's like, you need to go, everybody's gonna hate you. And he's like, okay, I'll go, everybody will hate me. This is all my fault. Something like that happens, right? And so he ends up kind of in his teenage years, like just bumbling around with Timon and Pumbaa, like experiencing life as he comes. He's kind of like, whatever, right? It's kind of, I don't know what to do with myself. So again, it's kind of feeling a lot like that storyline. So yeah, there's something about taking the throne back, or somebody took the throne back, right? Somebody reclaimed their crown, reclaimed their throne. But there's also something about the price of peace. So it's like, at what cost? So sort of that thing of like, if I were to take my throne back, if I were to fight for my crown, fight for my throne, fight for my kingdom, what would be the cost of that? So like I said, how the king and queen are very young because they lost people in the war to take it back. That was the cost of doing that, was the people who were lost along the way. So again, I don't know, they successfully took the throne back, but at what price? I'm just gonna leave that there. Again, I don't really have more information on that. You can apply that as with whatever your thoughts are around that as you see fit. Now, the funny thing was, I was kind of getting The Lion King, right? I just can't wait to be king. But then the tune changed to Under the Sea. And as I say that, I'm looking at the Mermaid Tarot. Maybe we'll pull that out at the end to see. We'll see how long it is, this reading. Yeah, Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. So it's like, I just can't wait to be king. And it's kind of like, do 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 do. And I was like, that's not Lion King, that's The Little Mermaid. But there was something in that as well. So it's kind of like, how saying, such wonderful things around you. What more are you looking for under the sea? It's like, stay safe, stay here where it's safe. Like, what more do you need? You've got everything you need, but she's so determined to go to the surface, right? So the weird thing, Leo, the weird thing is it's coming out at the start of the reading. So how do I want to do this? That's so funny to me as I'm saying that. So again, I've been because I've been learning about Dungeons and Dragons, and like, I'm one of those people, it's like, give me all the information. I really take a deep dive into things. It's like, I can't understand something at a surface level and let it be. I'm like, I need to understand everything there is to understand about this. So I've been kind of like hardcore researching in the 5 days, in the 1 week since I've played the game. It's like, I know everything now. I don't know everything, there's a lot to learn, but yeah, learning the basics kind of thing. and I've been watching this YouTube channel called Critical Role, and so when they have, because I didn't understand anything about it originally when I first played it, did not understand. So now I feel like I understand the rules of the game, and kind of like, you know, you have your movement, your action, your bonus action, and like taking the turns, and kind of all that kind of like the kind of strategic side of it. I'm kind of understanding that better now. So through kind of a mix of kind of researching and kind of watching other people play. And so the GM, when the fighting, like when the group are fighting the big bad monster, and you know, it's taking damage and it's taking the hit points, whoever kind of, they don't know how much, right? Though they don't know when they fire their shot, they don't know if that's gonna bring the monster down, or if it's, or how much damage it's doing. So when when the whoever fires, like you know, the last shot, the one that's gonna, you know, finish that battle, the DM turns around and says, how do you want to do this? You know, how do you want this to play out? And when they say that, it's like they know that's it. They know they've done it. And they know they've won, right? And they know that things going down. And they, like, so he says, how are you going to do this? And they all cheer. So it's funny to me. It's just, how are you going to do this, Leo? How are we going to do this? I don't know. Okay. Sorry, when I get into something, I get really into something. So I don't know. I'm just going to show you what we've got here. So, oh my God, I didn't know that was there. What I've been talking about. What did I say the setting was? If I move the ring, which is the underlying, and I didn't know this until just now. There it is. There's the desert. I've been talking about the desert. It's right there. So the other cards you've got, so you've got the ring. That can talk to me about a promise, a commitment of some kind. The raven talks to me about acquiring knowledge and intelligence, and applied knowledge. You know, ravens are a very intelligent animal. They gather information. They can be kind of a bit like a spy energy, an advisor energy. They can deliver a piece of news. So ravens are very strong symbol to have in your reading. Ice can talk about things being frozen, things being on ice. Depends on how it comes through. I don't want to kind of stick on that one too much. We've talked about things being very cold. The child, I can't help thinking about Cancer's reading. They had a child energy. There could be a child involved in a situation. Child talks about inexperience, somebody who needs protection but also needs to kind of go out in the world and make mistakes and figure things out for themselves a little bit. Starman energy to me is kind of a futuristic energy. It's kind of an alien, futuristic, technological energy. It's Aquarius for me, so it can talk about technology and innovation and the development of these things and new ideas and kind of like physics and science and all these kinds of energies. But it can act as kind of like a guide, right? A futuristic, or a guide towards futurism. Not futurism like the architectural movement, to the future. The compass talks about a redirection, plotting your journey, figuring out which direction you're going in, but also it's a tool that you use in order to plan your route, right? Kind of think of a GPS. It's kind of like you need to, the compass helps you figure out how to get to where you want to go. And the sun, I mean, Leo, you're ruled by the sun. This is your ruling planet. I've been talking about fire. Sun's very fiery. I don't know what else to say about that. There's a lot of cards. So back to the Little Mermaid. So I'm just going to start with the first 5 or 6 cards of your reading, and then we'll break and pull some cards live on camera, pull some Scrabble letters and things like that, some words, and then we'll carry on with the reading. But because I'm already talking about the Little Mermaid, and you know, that song where Sebastian's saying to her, you've got such wonderful things around you, what more are you looking for? So the first two cards are very material. The 9 of Earth and the 10 of Earth, like this is how they look to me. And you can see this girl with red hair in the middle of these images, and she's surrounded by all these pentacles. Now pentacles mean things, money, stuff. It can talk about things like skills or applied knowledge, but pentacles um it's the 9 and 10 of Pentacles. It's called Earth in this tarot deck, but just think of it as pentacles. It's money, it's coin, it's I'm trying to look for I was trying to see if I've got a queen around as an example, because you don't know, obviously you don't know what a coin is. Never seen one of those in your life. When are you watching this? Is it like 2050? Is everything digital now? Like, what's a coin? I can't say that word, by the way. Coin. Coin. It's a weird word to me. But yeah, she's surrounded by things. So think of the little mermaid. She's in that cave and she's got treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? She's surrounded by things, right? But those things, she enjoys them, but they are stand-ins for happiness, right? They're not bringing her actually, while she's attached to certain things and while she kind of loves those objects to a certain extent, they're not the same as experience, and they're not the same as it's not what she's looking for, right? Sebastian says to her, what more are you looking for? And she doesn't know. It's funny, you've got the Eight of Cups, but it's much, much further on in the reading. The Eight of Cups is this feeling of dissatisfaction. Something's missing. There's still something to discover. There's something it's just this feeling of not feeling satisfied with what you have. And again, material things can bring a certain amount of pleasure, but there's a limit to how much satisfaction can be found with junk, right? With things. I think if we're talking about, because it's Eight of Cups, to get to the Nine of Cups, which is the equivalent of the Nine of Pentacles. Let me explain these two cards. So the Nine of Pentacles is it can talk about self-care. It talks about the feeling of being quite independent, of having perhaps enough money in the bank to take care of your everyday needs and to live quite a comfortable lifestyle. So it's kind of like that where your next meal's coming from. You've got enough money to eat quite well, to eat healthy foods, or to eat quite pleasurable foods. Your bills are paid, your mortgage is paid, your rent's paid, you've got a house over your head. So there's an element of a certain amount of independence and freedom, and that comes with having a reasonable amount of money, and feeling like you can take care of yourself is the meaning of the Nine of Pentacles. But it is talking about money and things and stuff, and where the Nine of Cups talks about, even if I have nothing, I will be okay, because there's something within me that tells me I'm going to be okay. There's something within me that means that I've got control of my own emotions, that I can fulfill my own wishes, that I don't need anyone to, wipe my tears or to pick me up when I'm sad. I have emotional independence. And I feel like, as great as money is, and as much as it makes life easier for us when we have it in a lot of ways, and arguably it makes it harder for us in other ways, that kind of Nine of Cups energy, it's who you are, right? It comes from within. And even if everything is stripped away from you, you still have that. It's part of your soul. It's part of your coping mechanisms, your learning experience, your DNA. It's not something that's that can be traded. Again, you can argue that. I think you can argue anything, but I think this is the problem with you starting the reading, Leo, with a certain amount of things. And again, it can be stuff you've collected. So, this could be you sat around with your stamp collection around you, or I don't know, like maybe you collect figurines, or, you collect, they show me vinyls, like LPs. If you're very young, that's like Spotify, but instead of being on the internet, it's a big round giant. Do you know what a CD is? It's like a giant CD. It's a record. Do you know what a record is? So sorry, I'm being silly. Yeah, it's kind of like having all your record collection up on your wall or something like that, right? It's kind of like, it brings a lot of nostalgia. It brings a lot of pleasure to think about the joy that those things represent, but it's not the equivalent of the emotional thing that you are, I want to say, needing, right? So like Ariel in that cave, it's not enough, she's not satisfied. And so just again, I need to show you this card as well, like the Five of Fire as well. I don't know why this is here. This talks about competition. Maybe you've won a competition and you've got quite a lot of money, I don't know. Maybe not. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're rich, but there is something where there's stuff around you in some sort of way. It's like sat there with all your stuff that you've won, perhaps. Just again, noticing that kind of red hair. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something worth fighting for, or there's something worth. If this was, for example, I mean, I don't know who you are, I don't know your backstory. So if this was, for example, a case where you you left your ancestral home, maybe like your country or something like that, and it was taken over, and you lost your home, you lost your property, you lost your possessions. A lot of those things could mean a lot to you. Like I say, a lot of those things could be like inherited, like heirlooms. And so, you know, if you were thinking about perhaps joining the army to fight to claim those things back, it's more than just things, right? It's your ancestry, it's your identity, something like that. It could be something like that. I don't think that's for all of you. It could just be for a few of you. It's kind of a side message. For some of you, it could be the main message. I don't know. I'm not reading for one specific person. But like I say, so it starts with Ariel in that kind of cavern surrounded by things, and Sebastian's, what more are you looking for? And what does she do? She goes up to the surface of the water. She jumps out of the surface of the water, and her dad's mad at her, and he's like, you shouldn't go above the surface. It's dangerous. Because the next card is this Two of Pentacles, look, with like the dolphin jumping out of the water and up over the top. So I want to say there's something where maybe you feel like you've been a bit foolish, because it's with the Messenger of Fire here as well with the Knight of Swords. This fell off the table, so there's something about like not this, right? It's like it wants to be seen, but it wants to say it's not this. So it's this feeling of kind of trusting your gut, doing something instinctively, doing something spontaneously, and with it not being the Knight of Swords, I want to say you didn't think about it, right? There was like no thoughts, only action. I was talking in one of the readings about how I was really glad to see, I think it was Aries' reading, there was this thing about the King of Earth kind of having this moment of kind of inspiration and kind of like jumping up and leaping up, but he was doing so with a lot of intelligence. He was taking really spontaneous action as the Knight of Wands, which is the Messenger of Fire, is the Knight of Wands. But he was doing so with a lot of planning or thoughts or knowledge of the situation. Like it was like swift action, but there was intelligence behind it. With the Knight of Swords flying off the table, this feels like no thoughts, only do. It feels very kind of impulsive, spontaneous, instinctive. Not a lot of thought has gone into this. It's not the Knight of Swords. So Sagittarius be what Sagittarius be, Sagittarius do what Sagittarius do, right? You are very in the moment. Depends on your full chart. I've got Sagittarius Mars, which is mega impulsive. I can be like, we're doing this now. Kind of thing. My eldest as well is Sagittarius with Sagittarius Mars. So again, it's kind of like they can lie in bed until 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then jump up and demand that we go out. It's like, I want to go out. I want to go out right now. It's like, we were asleep 5 minutes ago. So again, it's kind of like unplanned. This is what I want to do right now. I'm in the mood to do this. So it's like you were in the mood to swim. You were bored. You were sat there bored with all your stuff around you, and you're like, I'll go and swim to the top of the ocean and stick my head out. Why am I saying Sagittarius? That's weird. I'm doing Leo's reading. How is it? The Knight of... Maybe you've got a Sagittarius Mars placement like me. The Messenger of Fire is... Everything that happens in a reading is part of the reading. So if I'm talking about Sagittarius, then some of you are Sagittarius cross watchers, or you've got Sagittarius in your chart, or you're dealing with a Sagittarius. Maybe you've got a Sagittarius child. there's a reason I'm talking about Sagittarius energy. This is Sagittarius, it's in your reading, but it doesn't have to be a Sagittarius person. It's Sagittarius energy. Anyone for any zodiac sign can be in Knight of Wands energy. It's just that moment where you can like leap up out of your seat and you just have this idea and you just do it, right? But like I say, it's kind of got this feeling of like breaking the surface or breaking into another realm. I want to emphasize this, and I'm just going to touch on this because I kind of want to stop and take a break and pull some other cards. But you can see how she stepped into this other realm. A little bit like how I said I was in Cancer's reading, which was this snowy mountain. And then I stopped and went into Leo energy, and all of a sudden I'm in this completely different place. I found myself in a place without snow, right? Originally it was like, you know, same place, different season, or slightly different area where it hasn't snowed, but it's still cold. I had to have a campfire. And then I was like in the desert. So there's something about kind of like jumping through portals or jumping from place to place or being in different energies quite suddenly and unexpectedly. I have this feeling of like this person here, the Dementor, there's the Dementor, is like, oh my God, why is she here? There's like a Doctor Who moment of like, why are you here? I don't know. How did you get here? Oh yeah, it's Persephone stepping through the portal there. So again, I don't know. Kind of suddenly someone somewhere unexpected. I'm going to take a quick break just to get a drink of water and maybe a Jacob's cracker because I'm feeling fancy. And that was a joke, by the way, if anyone's not familiar with what a Jacob's cracker is. And then I'm going to pull some cards live on camera. We're going to carry on with the rest of the reading. Back in a sec. Okay, so adjusting the camera slightly there. It's funny to me that the next card here has a lion on it. I don't remember. Oh no, a few readings had lions. I think Gemini's reading had a lion. I was so mad at the guy in Gemini's reading. I was so mad on Gemini's behalf. I was talking to my friend in work. I was like, and then this happened in Gemini's reading, and then they were dealing with this person, and then this happened. Oh, it's so funny to me. Right. I was like, I don't know who they are and I don't know who this guy is, but okay. What do we have? So I'm going to pull you a couple of cards on camera at this point. There we go. Moon dance. Moon dance. Walking this tightrope. There's something that comes very easily to you, I want to say. Let's see what the book says on this one. This is a new deck for me, so I'm not pulling too much out of it right now. Daring. What did I say? It's like doing something instinctively, doing something daring in that kind of messenger of fire, Knight of Wands energy. Balance, easiness, adventure. You must have Sagittarius in your chart, or you're dealing with the Sagittarius, or something's going on with Sagittarius energy, because Sag is all about adventure and perspective. It says, look at this girl balancing on a rope, waltzing with the moon. She is dancing through life. To be this confident is a gift you should be aware of and treasure. Be brave and adventurous. Get out of your comfort zone and see life from a different perspective. If you maintain a balance between levity and lightheartedness, you can stay above the everyday noise that threatens to bring us down. Feel the night breeze in your hair and adventure in your soul. Maybe it's saying to you, take it, just do something that feels good. Do something spontaneous. Do something in the moment. Don't overthink it. You know, don't have that. I always say to Virgo, it's like analysis paralysis, where it's kind of like, you know, you overthink and then you don't end up doing anything. So Sleeping Beauty's dream there as well. It could be something about dreams, things coming to you in the nighttime. I have had a lot of crazy dreams this past week or so. So many dreams, like, you know, just quick ones, little quick dreams where it's kind of like, this is happening now, this is happening now, this is happening, but so vivid and all over the place, like all sorts of stuff going on. So maybe there is something with dreams at the moment. Cancer had this thing about, you know, what you dream about, you bring about kind of thing. Like, be careful what you're wishing for. Be careful what you're manifesting. It's like, yeah, what you think about, you bring about. So, you know, be wary of what you focus your attention on. But at the same time, like, go out, have fun. Don't worry too much. You know, life is worth living, right? What else do we have? So this is like I said, got a bit of a D&D theme to this set of readings. This is a Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. Don't know if it's official or unofficial, actually. I think it's official. Strength, that's your card. The Strength card is Leo's card in the tarot. You've got 10 of Wisdom as well. 10 of Swords, I guess. I'm not going to touch on that too much now. Let me just see what your other card is. The Hermit card. That's Virgo. Funny, I was talking about Virgo and now Virgo's here. There's a message coming through. I'm not too ready to talk about that yet. I will wait until it comes out in a reading where it feels like it's meant to be talked about. Right, you could have Leo and Virgo placements. You could be on the cusp of Leo and Virgo. Strength card talks about confidence, not just physical strength, you know, how much you can lift, but you know, the strength that comes from knowing who you are, being very comfortable with who you are, not trying to, you know, not speaking from your ego, not being kind of like, I am the big I am, I'm the greatest, I'm the most muscular, I'm the most beautiful, you know, therefore I'm the best. The Strength card talks about that kind of inner strength that I was talking about the Nine of Cups, of I'm comfortable with who I am. I know who I am. I'm comfortable with my light and my dark, my shadows, my weaknesses, my strengths. I'm good with that, right? And yes, I'll work on myself, and you know, my weak points I will try and improve or have self-awareness of, that you know, I have these tendencies to do these things that maybe aren't the best, but you know, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. You know, it's kind of like the difference between saying I'm a useless person, I'm a terrible person, I did this thing wrong, and oh, I slipped up on that, right? I'm going to learn from that and I'm going to try and do better in the future. It's growth mentality, right? Growth mindset. You know, that kind of thing. You know, oops, I tripped up, I fell over. It doesn't mean I'm going to give up on walking. I'm going to pick myself up, dust myself off, and give walking another try, you know, like we all do as toddlers. I mean, you know, not all of us, you know, again, can argue things, but generally speaking. Now, this massive, scary, ogre-looking guy has a sore hand. He's got like a thorn in his hand. This is because the typical imagery on the Strength card is a lion with a thorn in its paw, and there's usually a lady helping the lion get the thorn out. Now, of course, the lady's in a dangerous position, helping, you know, pulling a thorn out of a lion's paw. But it's that old story, I think it's Aesop's fable of you know, the lion knows that this gentle lady's helping him, and then he protects the lady in the future. So there's that whole thing. The Hermit card talks about self-isolating sometimes, or being alone, or going within, and seeking guidance within yourself. So it can talk about you know, if you're the sort of a person who prays, right, you know, having a moment where you talk to God and you ask for help and you ask for guidance and you receive that wisdom. But it can also talk about you know, just, you know, sometimes you can be surrounded by people who have opinions, and you know, even social media or watching the news, you know, there's a lot of people with opinions out there. People, if you try and please everybody, you'll never win, right? So it's kind of like, step away from all the noise, step away from all the opinions, step away from all the people trying to give you advice. Just spend a bit of time alone thinking, what do you think about this situation? You know, what does your higher self tell you? What do you feel on the inside about this situation? So it has all those kind of feelings to it. Yes, cat. My cat's coming to say hi, I think. Let me just move this. I've got a laundry bag next to me. It's kind of blocking his path. He can jump over it, but he'd rather stand next to me and make weird noises. Coming over and saying hi. Hi! You okay? So we might have a little visitor in a moment on the table, in which case I might blow out the candles. He's getting hungry. It's time for his biscuits, so he's going to be a nuisance. I've also got this D&D Bard deck. Now, this is my... I bought it for my eldest for Christmas. It was a gift off their brother. And we're gonna see what spell you should cast in this situation, Leo. What energy should you be in? One is flipped and it's polymorph. Interesting. Zone of truth is on the bottom. Polymorph. So it says we're gonna have to. It's not a typical tarot or oracle deck, so we're gonna have to pick around at this and see what we get out of it. But this spell transforms a creature that you can see within range into a new form. An unwilling creature must make a wisdom save throw to avoid the effect. A shape changer automatically cedes on this saving throw. The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal or less than the target's. The target gains a statistic. So transforming someone else. So there could be an opportunity to transform a situation. There could be an opportunity to transform a person, or transform the way somebody perceives themselves, or the way people think about a certain person. You know, like Beauty and the Beast. I'm just thinking of this big massive ogre. It's like he's coming for help, right? He's like, imagine like this big ogre, maybe not the best communication skills, like he's got all his teeth in his mouth, right? He's a big scary looking guy. His hand hurts. He's got a thorn in his hand and he can't get it out and he needs help. So my cat's scratching a box. So where does he go for help? He goes to the church. He goes to a priest, right? He's like, I'm in need. The church helps people in need. They're going to help me. They're going to heal me. And yet when he approaches, because he's all hurt and angry and he's roaring in pain and he's big and he's scary, they might think that he's coming to attack, right? They might attack him. But that's if there's a misunderstanding of the situation. So it could be that something happens like this for you in the first few months of the year where you say, no, like, let me change the way you think about that monster. You know, like Beauty and the Beast, right? He's a beast. He's got claws. He's got sharp ones. You know, it's like Beauty's like, no, he's sweet and he's kind. You know, he's just hurting. He's just sad and in pain. So let's have empathy. Let's help. And then, you know, we might see the sweeter side of this one. I think there could be an opportunity to change a situation like that. It's not giving me much insight into the rest of the reading, but we'll kind of see how we go. Let's get you a couple of Scrabble letters. So this might help you identify a certain person, or it might be initials of a person. It might kind of spell something out. It might be like an abbreviation for something. Take it as you will. Leave it if it doesn't mean anything. I'm getting the word for. Well, the word, it is a word. It's also a number. L, ill, I'll, G, kind of almost guild to me. Again, it's a message for you, not a message for me. So take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Ilga sounds like a strange name again. Kansas sounded like a name. You can also do it backwards. I don't know. Make of it what you will. Gale. Are you playing Baldur's Gate? My kid's obsessed with Gale. They keep talking about him. It sounds like I've not played it yet, and I'm trying to kind of avoid spoilers. So yeah, I think it's a him. Three, and let's get you some words as well. See what comes out with the words. Family. Maybe there's something about Disney movies for you. You know, because you had Little Mermaid, Lion King, and Beauty and the Beast. It's funny because I was getting Beauty and the Beast for Gemini's reading, and then when I went into work, she's not a Gemini, but somebody had a Beauty and the Beast top on. I just kept on thinking about it. I was like, oh, that's so funny. Then and summer. Again, you've got this feeling of nostalgia, so you could be thinking about something you did with a family one summer. your family, a family. It's past tense with then. And with the Six of Cups, I feel like it's, again, nostalgia. Again, it could be that things and objects are nostalgic for you. You know, there's things that remind you of a summer with your family. Tummy, shush. Not now. Let's get you a song on camera as well. I'm going to do that now. You've got 1, 3, 4, 4. So yeah, progress is being made. Oh, you've got Darling as well by Halsey. I wanted to read this on camera. This is the song that made me cry because when my mum passed away, I remember kind of asking a song from her. I was like, Mum, communicate to me through music. And this was one of the songs that played. And I was like, oh, oh. It says, really can't remember where I left my spine, carrying my body in a bag for dimes, hidden in the pages of the New York Times at home. And maybe I'd be better if I take my meds. Ain't a double header if you lose your head. Try the medication that I bought instead. It's working for a little, but there's not much left. So my mum was trying different medication for a while, different painkillers, you know, adjusting the amounts and, you know, buying over-the-counter stuff and having stuff prescribed. Darling, don't you weep. So it sounds to me, I know Halsey had a child around this time when she wrote this album, so it kind of makes me feel like a mum talking to a child. Darling, don't you weep. There's a place for me, somewhere we can sleep. I see you in your dreams. Ever since a little girl, I found it sweet, driving past a graveyard on a lonesome street. All the little flowers gave me something to believe in. Never knew the feeling of a stable home. Been a couple of years living on the road. Couldn't really tell you where they'd leave a stone to visit me when I'm dead and gone. And then it repeats, darling, don't you weep. There's a place for me, somewhere we can sleep. I'll see you in my dreams. And then it says, darling, don't you cry. Head fast towards the light. Foolish men have tried, but only you have shown me how to love being alive. Until it's time to see the light, I'll make my own with you each night. I'll kidnap all the stars and I will keep them in your eyes. I'll wrap them up in velvet twine and hang them from a fishing line so I can see them anytime I like. It's just really cute. Only you have shown me how to love being alive. It's a really nice song. So I don't want to randomize you a song on camera now. We'll do that at the end. So yeah. I don't know if something is being offered. I don't know if somebody is showing up with some sort of offer. It may feel a bit like a wish come true because, like I say, you've got like the Nine of I'm going to say Pentacles, the Nine of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles. It's all these pentacles. It's all money and things, right? And then you have the Ace of Pentacles. It's like one thing. It could be one thing that means something, especially if we're talking about like nostalgia. It could be some kind of offer coming in. Normally with the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Earth, it's a tangible offer. It's kind of you know, here's a job, you know, or here is money, you know, or here's the opportunity to develop a skill. So normally it's something kind of tangible and practical. And you have this deer here as well with the star. Deers can talk about kind of, especially stags can kind of talk about Patronus energy for me as well. You know, if you think about Harry Potter and the Patronus. So it's kind of like a guardian protective spirit, a guide, a spirit guide, something like that. But it's here with the star. So there's this thing about kind of wish fulfillment or happiness or wish come true, or this is the thing I've been missing. And there's something, it feels very spiritual. It almost feels like meeting a spirit guide, right? It feels like, or, you know, like being out in the woods and coming face to face with a creature that has that kind of nature spirit energy to it. Something like this. And kind of in this moment, there is a bit of a transformation that happens because we kind of level up. We go from being the messenger of fire, the page of the Knight of Wands, into being the Queen of Wands. Now the Queen of Wands I do see more as your energy. Again, kind of Sagittarius to me, but the Queen of Wands could easily be, well, any of these could easily be Leo. I'm reading this as you, especially because it's this redhead girl that starts the reading. So again, if you're not a redhead girl, maybe you're dealing with a redhead girl, I don't know. but she levels up, right? She gains experience. She gains XP. Um, she goes from being the Knight of Wands to the Queen of Wands. So this is more mature. This is more experience. This is uh, more self-awareness, more self-control, more maturity in this moment. And it seems to be because of this thing being offered, because like I say, you've got the Ace of Earth, which is normally some kind of offer, and then this crow here, you did have that raven, so see it as a raven or a crow or something black with wings, I guess. This other, right, this other creature here, because this is also with the High Priestess, which again in this case it's a bat, but I'm seeing it as the same energy. And maybe even this thing here, right, this thing here with these kind of black wings. I'm sorry, my cat is scratching away at that box back there. So it's like there is something that's offered, and it feels like it's something that's offered from a character. Let's say a character. I don't know if this is like a human, a spirit guide, a situation even, but something's being offered or given by a character who has this kind of two-dimensional energy. With Persephone and the High Priestess, there is a similarity between these two cards. The High Priestess card normally has pomegranates on it, and it's symbolic of Persephone's ability to travel between realms. Persephone is one of very, very few characters in Greek mythology who's able to go into the underworld and go back to the overworld and travel quite reasonably freely between the two. Obviously, she's got a commitment to be in certain places at certain times, but she can travel back and forth. So there's somebody who has the energy of spirituality to them, or the energy of being cloaked in, it's kind of almost like cloaked with death, right? It's like, could be someone who has experience, like me, right? I mean, I could easily be this person, High Priestess, tarot card reader. I've been around, a lot of people have died in the last few years. So, you know, somebody who's been close to those energies in those situations. Like I said, if I felt like my dad was next to me at the beginning of the reading. So you could say this about people who perhaps, you know, people who work in care homes, or who work, nurses who work with end of life care, or doctors and paramedics, and, you know, people who are in situations or have been in situations where they've been, it's like they've been close to the Grim Reaper, right? Not in a negative way, not in a way that this is evil or bad, but in a way where, if we have the idea of kind of like our realm, our living reality, and then the world or the realm of the dead. So they're showing me, you know, that movie, I think it was actually a Pixar movie or something like that, DreamWorks Pixar. It's like an animated movie where, I don't know if it was Disney, and it's about Mexico and like the Day of the Dead. It's got like a kid who plays a guitar and he wants to go and see his hero, and he ends up going between the two realms, right? He goes into kind of the afterlife. Yeah, so it's kind of like someone who can, I don't know. So, but like I say, this person seems to be offering you something that seems to be leveling you up in some sort of way. I want to say it's because it could be bringing you some kind of celebrity or recognition or fame, with it being the star. It can be like the spotlight. Maybe this person has the spotlight on them. Could even be something like this person is, you know, a famous psychic or something like that. Could you not, Cat? I might have to stop and go and feed him to get him to be quiet. But like I say, even this card here, even this next card, the Mystical Shaman, like this, you know, like how Harry Potter, when he cast the Patronus, it's kind of like, what is this? What is this creature? What is this energy? You know, it seems to have a personality of its own. It's like a shadow, but it's got a personality. I don't know, like a Peter Pan's shadow or something. it's like this one who has these abilities to work with light and shadow. I don't know. Anyway, they seem to be offering you something regarding to or leading to some kind of work that you do. With the 8 of Earth, there's a lot of Earth. This could all be about a work situation or money or something like that. So the 8 of Earth, it's like they're giving you, it could be like they're literally giving you an instrument, like here's your grandfather's violin or something like that. Here's this thing, here's this tool, here's this skill that you can improve, right? That is, it feels like a blessing, or it feels like something that you're blessed with, right? You're blessed with this ability to play this instrument or improve this thing or work on this thing. It could require some study, whether it's like you're literally attending a course or looking something up online or learning how to use this, because this is followed by like the Page of Air. So it's the Page of Air is kind of like, I need more information. You could be asking for more information, but I'm also kind of seeing this as that other one, you know, this can't work out how many people are here. It could be it could be 3 people. I'm saying you're this kind of lion energy. There's also this kind of deer energy, but then there's also, I want to say, this winged one, like an angel, or like a, I don't know. Doesn't your card said that? I was like, I don't see how this applies to the reading, and I do now. Your card said something about shape-shifting, your ability to polymorph. That's why I'm getting confused, because it's this energy of something that can shape-shift. It's this energy of something that can change its form or cast some kind of illusion to make it seem like they've changed their form. Okay. What you need more information about, or what you're studying more closely, is whatever this water is here. It could be a emotion, like emotion being brought to this thing. So it's kind of like making me think of The Sims. I play The Sims a lot, and when you play an instrument for long enough, you get to play with emotion. I'm thinking of like there's a violin in the game, and when you get good at it, you can play with emotion. So it's like play with passion, put emotion into it. So it's like if you felt like something was missing, which I can still see later in the reading, you still feel like there's something missing, but like that's what the key is, or that's what that's what needs to be. You need more information about the emotions of it, or it could even be like you need more information about this other realm, because again, this one, they work with, or they're shrouded in, or they come from this other realm. Like they are the embodiment of this other realm. And this feels new to you, right? It's like an ace to you. So you're like, I need more information about this place, this other place. I don't know. They have flexibility. Water's very mutable, right? And you've got this drifter. So there's something about all these where it's kind of like, you have to be flexible in this situation. Like think about like playing a violin, right? The bowstring is very flexible. It's a flexible, pliable wood. So there's something about pliability with willow as well, which has been talking about in other readings. It's something about you need to be flexible when learning this. You need to kind of go with the flow in this situation, which could feel a little bit overwhelming for you, especially overwhelming plenty and mindful groupthink. Okay, they could, an obstacle. Okay, so there's something coming through here about and transmuting pain. Okay, I understand, right? Because you start with all this earth and fire, right? It could be that you've got a lot of earth and fire in your chart. Like my eldest, all earth and fire. A little bit of air, actually, thankfully, which is like where the intelligence comes in. It's like where the brain switch is on. It's like that Aquarius placement. It's like, thank God for that Aquarius placement. But yeah, you see all earth and fire. So maybe motivated by maybe this could be in terms of like the work you've been doing, or the life you've been building, or the home you've been building, what you've been gathering around you, and what has been driving you. You could have an earth sign Mars placement, for example. It's like you're driven like a Capricorn Mars placement. Like, it's like, I'm driven by earning money, I'm driven by reputation, I'm driven by success. I work hard. um I'm driven by the competition. I want to be the best. Maybe Aries Mars as well. um there's not a whole lot of water there, is there? I mean, I know I said you're aerial, but it's kind of like you live in the water, but you're not part of the water. You're too earthy. I'm just trying to work this out as I go. So it's like the water's new to you. You normally work with fire and earth. So the water is something that you need to learn about. It's something that's unfamiliar to you, but you have an opportunity to learn more about it. And it could be about spirituality. It could be something about bringing emotions in. It could be something about other people and relationships, because you do go from the 9 of earth to the 10 of earth. The 9 of earth is independent. The 10 of earth involves other people. And it does seem like if you get into this more flexible state where you go with the flow a little bit more, maybe you're a little bit less controlling. If you do find yourself to be the sort of person who likes to feel like you're in control, you like to be the boss, you like to be the leader, or not even that, but you like the sense of having a plan. Like, I want to know where this is going. I like to have a plan. I like to, know how this is going to play out before I set foot out the door. I'm that type of person. It's like, give me the inventory, like the itinerary. Sorry. This is like, yeah. Don't overthink it. Just feel your way through it. Which you have an element of here. Like, fire feels its way through. So does water. But I want to say there is something about other people being involved, and this being very overwhelming. It's like, if you're used to doing something independently and you're doing something collaboratively, it could be that there's a lot of ideas, a lot of opinions, a lot of people want to have their input on this. There's a lot of emotion in this situation, which could be a little bit overwhelming for you. Again, it could be like too many voices in your head. And this is the obstacle. It could be something like, if any of you are working on your own high priestess ability, right? Your own, opening up your crown chakra, and letting these spirits, excuse me, Tommy's rumbling, letting spirits in, or letting the voices in, or letting I don't let the voices in, if that's, I don't know. You know your situation best. It's making me think again of, like, in D&D, there's something called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like you open your mind and you can hear the thoughts of other people, and you can open it further, but like the more people are around you, the more overwhelming it is, that kind of thing. Like, the harder it is to distinguish specific voices. It's like, this is the obstacle. So there's something about almost like one at a time. Can you see this kind of like, there's almost like a keyhole here with this moon lining up, and then here as well. It's kind of like something about controlling the flow of emotions, or controlling the flow of your psychic ability and how much comes through at once. So again, this is something you're learning about, right? And transmuting pain. Yeah, okay. So again, with the idea of it being very overwhelming, I know as somebody who is an intuitive reader, and as somebody who opens themselves up to allow the messages to come through, sometimes it can be very overwhelming, to feel people's pain in a reading, and to feel people's emotion. And if a lot is coming through, it can be very difficult, but also important to to allow it through and to allow it to have expression, and to let people hear their own stories, that they're not alone, that the spirit guides are communicating, they are listening. This helped me tremendously. Hello, you. Let me blow the candles out. So yeah, are you here to help? Can you not knock my camera off though? That'd be great. So yeah, there's something about controlling the flow, right? So think about if you were pouring water. Say you were pouring water from a kettle. If you just go like that, it'll all tip out at once. But if you go, have a gradual pour, you can control how fast that water comes out. Or if you were running a tap, how much you turn it on, how much you open that tap determines how much water comes through. So it's something about water and flexibility in terms of water takes the shape of the container, for example, that it's in, or water can only pour as fast as the gap allows. No, don't do that. You're gonna knock it off. He's trying to push his face up against the phone. Should we have a moment of purr time? Purr loud. That's my tummy rumbling. Okay, so sorry, I got distracted by giving my cat attention. Your bum's on the bit I need to read for. Come over here. So I think there could be some sort of event coming up for you, because you have the Four of Wands and the Three of Cups here. Now the Four of Wands, and there's the mermaid. There's the little mermaid. Oh, sorry, I poked her in the thigh. So there could be something where, because the Four of Wands can be like a party or a celebration, it's like celebrating milestones. It can talk about the place where it's being held as well. It's kind of like tent peg cards. So it can indicate kind of structures where a party's being held. And then the Three of Cups is kind of like a get together, a social situation, celebrating something. It's kind of like people going cheers. So yeah, there could definitely be something coming up for you where there's going to be some kind of party or celebration. There is, I can't see my cards again. Move your butt. Let me try and fish these out from under his butt before I... What are you doing? I know you want feeding, don't you? So you're being a nuisance. I'll feed him as soon as I finish the reading, guys. So then we have here, like, no, stop. Like, stop, come here. Go on the window ledge. Go on the window ledge. Look. What can you see? Look out my window. That was Cancer's song. So thing with his tail. So there's something about this dash. It's like, I don't know if it's like a dash for freedom, or like because it's like this, right? It's like catching something that moves quite quickly. So it's like this thing that, like, it's like a shadow in the corner of your eye. You kind of catch a glimmer of it, but it stops. It's kind of like a butterfly, and it lands, and you see the whole butterfly, and then as soon as it realizes it's been seen, it flies off again. It like darts off again. Do you see how I'm seeing that? It's kind of like this thing, this blur, and it lands, and you see it, and then it's like whoosh, gone. And there's something about it flying. It's almost like when a moth gets caught inside a lampshade or something. You see these crows here inside this orb. So it's like something getting trapped inside. It's like summoning something into your crystal ball, and then it can't get out. It's like it tries to get out and it can't get out. I don't know. We also have, like I say, freedom. It's like trying to make a break for freedom. Oh, air spirit as well. Knowledge. Something has the knowledge of how to get some freedom from an emotional situation. It could be an emotionally controlling situation. Again, sometimes it can be like other people's. It could be something like you go to an event, right? Or you go to a meetup, or you go to a home, right? And there's people there, and it's an emotional situation. It's like, friends, family. And it could be that a lot of people have an opinion on what you want to do. So you have this feeling of like wanting to escape or wanting to have freedom, and the knowledge of how to get out of that situation where there's some kind of emotional control going on. Because you do have the curse card, right? The inability to speak on something. That kind of makes me think of Cancer's reading. And the Eight of Cups, this feeling of like something's missing. I want to say there could be a situation where it's like you feel like there's something missing, but you feel like you can't talk about it, right? You feel like you know, this, maybe this situation itself isn't satisfying, and yet you feel like you can't say, but you do have the knowledge of how to get out of it. This is then followed by the journey, right? Here's this, there's something about your crown chakra, right, and your ability to connect to your own guides. You have the knowledge of this, the journey, the mystery, the thunder and the fire. Something about fire and thunder. I was thinking, is it Macbeth? You know, cauldron burn, cauldron bubble. I don't know. Thunder and fire, because it says ignition. It's almost like the key turning in the engine, right? The, you know, something rumbling, and then it's kind of like you press the accelerator, perhaps. The thunder card talks to me about hearing something coming, right? You hear the, do you hear the thunder before you see the lightning, or is it the other way around? Kind of like a rumbling noise, and then the ignition. Mystery, crack, and the journey. I want to say you're exploring, like, it's like you're exploring the mysteries, right? You're exploring the unfathomable, the unknown. You're exploring mysticism. Let's get you a song at this point, because this is where I kind of lose what they're trying to tell me. I always find that, like, the beginning of a reading always makes a lot of sense to me, and by the time I get to the end, because it's further into the future, it's like harder to see. Can I get a song, please, to help Leo understand this reading? Shadow by Kesha. I feel so good. Why are you so mad? I'm so happy and you hate that. But I love and I love life. And I love tripping in the desert, friends, seeing spaceships in the sky, and I love singing fuck in all my songs. Because the only people who got time to get offended are the ones who've probably never gotten off. So get your shadow out of my sunshine, out of my blue skies, out of my good times. Get your darkness out of my champagne, because I'll be dancing in the rain. And I'm going to love you even though you hate me. We all got shit. Who's to throw stones? Live and let live, or just stay the fuck home. So if you love love and if you love life, then we can share this blue Dodge van and end this in the night sky. And if you love partying, then party on. And if you're here to throw shade, then you're in the wrong place. Yeah, you're blocking my sun. I'll just keep on doing what I do best, pissing off people who want to be pissed. Hate is the poison, love is the elixir. So if you don't like me, you can suck my... Okay, I mean, good for you, Leos. I don't know, good for you. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe this is an event, and yeah, maybe somebody's not great. You've got this rainbow here again. It could be somebody who's a bit intolerant. I don't know. I don't know. I think you're okay, Leo, though. I hope this reading made sense to you. There was definitely bits where, you know, like I could kind of see what the cards were saying, but I don't know how it necessarily applies to you. So I hope it does make sense. I hope you take care of yourselves. You know, whatever you're doing, do it gracefully. Do it in a high vibrational way. I think you are. Yeah, and I hope this helps you out, and I'll see you again when I do my next set of readings. If you want to, you can check out some other placements again. You can check out your sun, moon. I do recommend kind of like Mars is a really good one. Venus, if you're interested in romance and relationships. Mercury, if this is kind of like a friend or communication type issue for you. Yeah, all those kind of signs. Lilith, if you're feeling brave and you want to do some shadow work. Same with your South Node and your North Node. And I hope this is helpful. Take care of your faces. I will see you again soon. Bye, friends. Bye.